I can't lie like I don't rap about killing and dope, but I'm telling my youngest to vote. I did what I did cause I didn't have no choice and no hope. I was
And we in this thing for episode 109. Episode 109, ALeague show. Another Sunday for you, everybody. Everybody going good. How's everybody this morning?
Man, you know, I can't complain, can't call it, just a black man trying to survive, you feel me?
It is what it is. It is what it is. We all up in here, of course, Shad, of course, Eric up in NYC, of course, Jeremy in Athens, Georgia. How's everybody doing up in NY and in GA?
I'm good, man. Just chilling in the room. Got one
J-Dog
in this piece.
It's definitely, like you said, it's definitely early. What about you? How's you going? How's it going, Eric?
I got nothing to complain about, you know. Seeing Wendy's burn down, I can't complain about that.
I saw that. As if stuff wasn't already wilding up. Like now all of a sudden, like they burn it down, Wendy's and things like that. And it's so amazing that you bring that up because I'll do Jarrell, who's up in Wisconsin now. Georgia State alum, another Signal alum, like all of us also black dudes. He was. I saw a tweet that came from him that he was mentioning that he used to go there all the time, and that he would because he was talking about how much he used to do DoorDash, and he would go and he's all the time, and just chill there, and it's so amazing. It's so amazing. But
yeah, I let him know he won't be going back there. But I woke up and I saw him last night, but seeing the videos this morning too, it's like, bro, that really happened.
Exactly.
Like, that really happened so
mess like that is surreal. Like when it happens, like stuff like that is really like surreal.
Yeah. No, it is crazy.
Right.
Proceed, my brother.
And it feels like each and every event, it gets closer and closer to home, man. Like each and every event, that's what it feels like. And hearing the dude's name is Ray Shard, who so many white people pronounce my name when they see it for some reason. Like hearing them chant Ray Shard, his last name is chills. It's like, dang. Like, it doesn't get much closer than that. I've been on University Ave and that Wendy's a billion times growing up because my pops, he said, have some work around the corner over there on Jonesboro. And then, of course, going to Georgia State, you pass it all the time because it's right there from Georgia State Stadium. So it feels like it's getting closer and closer to home. And it's chilling. It's chilling. Well, we'll get to that later when we talk about Kyrie.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, when it hits closer to home, it definitely has a different effect, as does everything. But one of the things that, once again, of course, always, thanks for tuning in, obviously. But one of the things that we didn't get to last week was all this chatter about Mikey Williams. So he, as everybody know, is a well sought after recruit. I mean, lots of colleges, of course, are really looking at him, want him to hoop for their programs. And he's in one of the things that became an interesting subject of debate around him was, with all of the protests and, everyone, really bringing awareness to the whole idea of, Black Lives Matter and everything. One of the things that became an interesting topic for debate was the possibility of him deciding to go to an HBCU. So when I was doing some, research and trying to find out things like that, I was like, wow, like would he actually, would he and other recruits like take that step and say, and instead of wanting to go to like a Duke or wanting to go to a Carolina or a Kentucky or, a Louisville or one of these other like Kansas or one of these other like big name schools, would he want to take that major step in terms of going to an HBCU? I think that if he were to do that, that would be such a huge deal because one of the things that I mentioned, I mentioned in our group chat is really when you think about it, HBCUs sort of have to operate off shoestring budgets because, they don't have much money, really going into their athletics departments, which means that they don't have that much money going into their athletics departments. It hurts their recruiting ability. So they wouldn't be able to go around the country the way a Coach K or a Coach Cal or a Bill Self or a Chris Mack or a Mark Few or a Tom Izzo would be able to do. And on top of everything else, they almost never really get all that much national shine, except if an HBCU happens to make the tournament, the field of 64 for March Madness. So if he were to do that, that would be a pretty big deal, if you ask me.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought Rashad wanted this one bad, so I just was waiting on the boy.
No problem.
No, but
We cleared out for you. You didn't do
nothing. He's one that it's interesting because it's been like it's been other top high schoolers that people have teased about as far as looking forward, that people have talked about maybe like if they chose that route, it would shake it up a bit. Like people have done it with Dior Johnson. Obviously they talked about it with Imani Bates, like slightly. But like other like I would say like top 10, top 15 kids recruits, like people have teased about it, but it hasn't been somebody like Mikey's yet. Obviously we know Imani's number one for his class, but I think Mikey's was interesting because he is with his AAU team is with Compton Magic. Compton Magic is like a real prominent AAU team out there in the West Coast, California. They've put out like tons of talent when it comes to D1. A lot of their kids, Duke, Kentucky, Onyeke, he's going to USC. He's like projected to be a top 10 pick, whatever. But they've always put out talent per se. But their system they run and their program is like pretty impressive. And then also I think the mentorship they get. So the coaches and management and like how they run there is pretty impressive. So what I'm trying to get to with that is just I think with Mikey, he's gotten he's got people in his camp that I think will at least give him insight into how important this is and like how shaking this up like how much it would do for the sport. And I think that he's already at a pivotal point in his career where it's like he's garnered enough with 2 million, followers, all that, where he knows like it's pretty solidified where he's going to end up going when the NBA draft does, ride for him. When that time comes from him, it doesn't seem like there's too much that can shake that up unless he really takes a deep dive, but it's likely not to happen. So I think he has the right system and the right program of people around him to let him know that this is something they'll push for as well. Like I think that's one of the biggest things with some of these kids is they're not in the right program and they don't have the right people around them that will tell them like, listen, yes, this is in some regards, this is a risk, but also giving them that information and education they need to know how important this is. And I think with Compton Magic, I just wanted to give him a salute on that. They have the head of that his name is Etop, really good guy. If you could see, he did like an interview with Gilbert Arenas like not too long ago on their podcast, whatever, but he's a really, really dope. And I like the way that he kind of goes about player empowerment. So with that being said, I think Mikey, he's in the right camp to do something like this. Now, whether or not it will happen, I'm not holding my breath. The thing is, it's just, I feel like most fans, they're on the line of thinking that we're kind of being tired of being teased about this. Like we've all heard this before, right? Like that he's considering it. Josh did it last year. Josh Christopher took a trip to Howard. That was really dope. I gave him kudos for that because he actually went on the campus, did a full official visit, scrimmage with the team. Like that was really cool to see. There's a video footage that came out showing him playing. He did there was like a Midnight Madness type of thing they did the night he was there. So it was like really dope for him to get that experience, especially for a West Coast kid going east. You know what I mean? So that was cool. But I think for a lot of the fans or whatnot and people who would like to see this, they're kind of like, just show me at this point because we've heard it 1,000 times. It's just like Mikey is a couple years away. So this is cool now, but We'll see in a year or two. Obviously, if this is something that, with the G League being an option now, with the high school to pro option being there in a year or two, it's gonna be like he'll have so many options more than he has now. So I would love to see it, but one of the things you got to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm with you, Eric. I don't really. I'm kind of tired of the lip service of it all, but I think it's awesome that he's considering it and he's making it known that he's considering it, and it's. I think it's not necessarily about him. I don't really feel like he will end up at HBCU. I don't foresee that, but he's gotten the conversation started, and it's trickled down to guys who aren't as talented. It's trickled down to guys that are in football. I've seen multiple football recruits from the state of Georgia that have been like, hey, going to an HBCU wouldn't be that bad. And voila, they have HBCUs in their top tens or whatever. But I think that it's not as much of a risk as we think it is, because I've seen more players, highly recruited players, go to Kentucky and fall off the map than I have seen guys go to random schools and fall off the map, if that makes sense. People were confused why Anthony Bennett went to UNLV a couple years ago. He was one of the top recruits in the country, and he didn't really play that well there, and the mystery of him got him selected number one. Whereas guys went to Kentucky and they didn't get on the court right away, and they were role players, and they didn't go into the second round. So, I mean, if anything, if you can play, people will find you anywhere you are. I think Shannon Sharp said that the other day on TV, and I've always been of that believing that, if you can play, it don't matter where you go to college, it doesn't matter where you're playing, you can play in your backyard. If you can play, they'll find you. So I don't think it's that big of a risk. If anything, it gives him more opportunity to show how good of a player he is individually. So that being said, it would be cool if 3 or 4 highly recruited guys went and teamed up on Howard, and they made a deep NCAA run, and I think that would do more for the sport and for HBCUs than just one talented guy going to one school. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's still sports, and people want to see you win. So, I mean, college basketball is always open. You can get hot at the right time. So, I think that would be the best avenue for it to be done, is on college basketball, because I mean, no one's excluded from the NCAA tournament as long as you're Division I. So, I don't know. I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, man.
Real quick,
sure.
Sorry, Shot. Go ahead, Shot.
Oh, I was just gonna agree with what Jeremy was saying. Yeah, for sure. Like, you think about a program like Florida Gulf Coast. I remember Brandon Goodwin transferred there, but when he came to work out for the Hawks and they said Florida Gulf Coast, of course, the first thing I'm thinking of is Dunk City. Like, when kids get offers from Florida Gulf Coast, the first thing they say is Dunk City. A good NCAA run keeps your name in the books for a minute. So that's just one thing about how basketball works. It'll be much more difficult in football because you'll need like a lot of people in football to kind of get behind it to really swing the movement all the way, because the kid from Alabama State, the offensive lineman, went in the first round last year. That didn't really change much. A&T's had some pros over the last few years. You want to go, Jeremy?
I got something to add to what you're saying. It's a little different with football just because there are already talented guys at in the HBCU conferences. I mean, there's guys getting drafted left and right. And they're excluded. Like, they're not in Division I, so they can't really compete against the Alabama and Floridas directly. In basketball, they can do that. In baseball, they can do that. So those are the sports I would more want it to be focused in anyway, because football is one of those things that you can get on a college campus and your body explode and you can get drafted. There's no translation from what you do in high school to the pro level, where in basketball, some of these kids are ready to play in the NBA or the G League. So that I just wanted to say that while you were going, but sorry for interrupting, but yeah.
No, you good. But the thing is with football is like, it's the money sport, So it's like, to me, this is kind of more than just about getting HBCUs exposure. This is about getting HBCUs money to kind of level the playing field all around. And I feel like, Mikey doing this would be great. And me personally, I think he has a great chance of doing it because I didn't know his mom went to Hampton. When I saw that, I was like, oh. And then like Mikey knows his power. Like he's someone you might look at him, you like, oh, this kid thinks he's high, you know, he's cocky, blah blah. Mikey knows like he's Mikey Williams. Like I remember when he was playing flight, you know, he was joking one night. He's like, he's a pro. And you know, when they say on Joe Budden podcast, in one of his Instagram captions, he was like, you know, if you're a pro, you're a pro. Everybody knows. So he knows these things already. That combined with his mom already going to Hampton, I think he's going to the league. I mean, I think he's going to an HBCU. And, you know, I don't think he'll take the G League route to get money for 1 year because Mikey's a guy who is so popular. Like, he's going to be able to make money, like, regardless of how far he falls off, just off of his popularity after, you know, high school and stuff like that. He's the second most famous high school player right now, you know. And I think if he and Bronny did it with him, I think that'll shake some stuff up. But, you know, you look at football, going back to football, it's just kind of all over the place right now. But, you know, Cam Newton's little brother went to Howard. Everybody's like, oh, this is dope. You know, this is going to really change things. He balled out, didn't really get much attention, kind of flew under the radar despite being Cam Newton's little brother, and he ended up transferring back to Auburn this offseason. So, but I think someone like Mikey, someone with 2 million followers already, because Cam Newton's little brother was someone I really knew until he committed, and I was like, oh, that's dope. Cam Newton has a little brother, and he's doing well, and you know, so I think this is something different where everybody knows him ahead of time. Deshaun Ruffin, like, you know, going back to what Jeremy was saying, where a lot of other guys are saying they're considering HBCUs number 20 in the country. We talked about him before on this podcast, but in Mississippi, you know, he said HBCUs wouldn't be so bad. I wanted to talk to him about it. Couldn't get a hold of him. I don't know why, coach. But anyways, after that, he tweeted the next day. He was like, college is a serious decision. It's not something I play about. If I said it, I meant it. And so if he does it, you know, I think this is the time, man. I don't know if they're going to do it. And then Devin Ree, another top recruit in Mississippi, Rising Junior, he's like number 36 in the class of 2022. As soon as he was ranked, Jackson State offered him. So I don't know, man. I really think that this could be the turn of a tide, in my opinion. And I think it really starts with Mikey because he has the biggest platform. And but I think it's gonna take like the whole strive for greatness kind of camp. Not Gabe Cups because you know but but if Mikey, Bronny, the Nigerian kid that's like 7'2" at like 15. If them jokers, if all of them go to the HBCUs at the same time, all them 2023 kids, man, we got something. And I think LeBron, you know what I'm saying? Mikey's got LeBron in his corner, so I don't know. You know LeBron's definitely reached out to him since then because like Taylor Rooks interviewed him and he said, yeah, multiple people reached out to me. And he was naming all these celebrities that was reaching out to him in support, like, man, you really need to do this. So, you know, LeBron's talked to him about it. I think if LeBron can get behind this, you know what I'm saying, and get Bronny to go there and some of his Strive for Greatness kids, then we're cooking with grease.
And I think another thing with it is it's important that it happens. So, like, it has to be just as abruptly as G League did it. So G League snagged Daisha Nix. They snagged Isaiah Todd. They snagged Jalen Green, right? Like, it happened like that. That's the exact way this has to happen. You know what I mean? Like that's how, and it also has to be a way that it's a little bit more, it's spread out because you can't have a case where it's like, all right, we had 2 years ago with like Memphis and like they had that top recruiting class with James Wiseman and whatnot, and Precious, and then they get dinged a year or two later and it's already a wrap. So like if Mikey decides, if DJ Wagner or Isaiah Collier or whatever, like if those guys decide to go somewhere, it spread it out. Is my advice. Like spread it out. Like go to different schools. Don't all go to the same school. Spread it out. One go to Grambling State. One go to Howard. You know what I'm saying? Like it's do it in that way, in that fashion, and then I think each class, if they do it, I think that would like at least start the trend. You know, you have to get 2 or 3 from each class.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a lot at this point, but it's like the only way. It has to be just as quickly as the G League went through and snagged everybody. And the G League was working on this for like the last 2-3 years of like getting kids. They were in these camps. They were at EYBL. They were at the circuits. They were like, they had people in these kids' ears for a couple of years now. Most of them will tell you that. So it has to be the same motion with this. It's like, this has to be a 2-3 year plan, which is why this makes sense. Like Mike, we're talking about Mikey because it's 2-3 years from now. So at least starting the conversation, but go ahead, Rashad.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, sorry to cut you off, but it was going to be those, yeah. That's the biggest counter argument in my opinion. It's not the competition, it's not the resources, it's the fact that you're going to have guinea pigs. Like you're going to need kids in a 4-year window to kind of sacrifice, because the money and the TV deals and the blah, blah, blahs, all that stuff is going to come into play after those kids play for 4 years and bring that attention and that money to the university. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest question mark being this line between it, because for high school kids, college choice is a personal choice, the choice that's going to be best for me in my career. You know what I'm saying? That what's best for the community, not what's best for the, Black people and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? You can make that sacrifice, but a lot of these kids are already coming from situations where it's like, this is my chance. You know what I'm saying? Like when I came from small town Alabama and those kids was going to a couple kids one kid went to Alabama and then one kid went to Oregon. Their workout rooms are smaller than my living room. So it's like they're coming from areas where like a facility like the ones they have at Alabama and the facilities they have at Oregon and the gear and all that, like that's the big time. Like that's an opportunity that they'll never be able to get. So to kind of go to something, that's better, but not, what I'm saying, that's not as first class as Alabama, that's a risk. I mean, that's a sacrifice. And, 16, 17, living in that all your life, you're not going to want to, you know what I'm saying? So that's the toughest part, but it's necessary, man. But we're going to need those kids to do it, for the betterment of the people, if they're really down for this.
Absolutely, for sure. And, that was a good point that was made earlier about not just necessarily just bringing exposure, but also bringing money. Because really and truly, that's going to be like the main decider of how all of this eventually shakes out. Because that's a great point about the facilities, because you look at the facilities at a school like Alabama or a school like Oregon or a school like South Carolina or a school like a Clemson or a Louisville or a Kentucky. And then you look at the facilities of a school like, an Alabama A&M or other HBCUs. Like, there are HBCUs out there that are doing the most that they can with less. So it really is about, bringing not only the talent, because really and truly, I believe that you bring in talent because a lot of these HBCUs, they have notable alums, as we all know, that have gone to them. I mean, we can name all of the notable alums that went to a school like a Morehouse. So that's one of those things where, as far as I'm concerned, they have no problem as far as booster money. Their issue is going to be how are they going to get more of these top recruits. And then also, I think it's also something that really is a question of the athletic departments, because some athletic departments decide, do they want to be a football school or do they want to be a basketball school? And some of it at some HBCUs, it's already well entrenched, but for some, it's one of those things where they're thinking like, okay, do we want to, bring in, more money through basketball and decide of that? or do we want to bring in more money through football because of geographics or because of tradition or whatever? I think that that's also something that a lot of athletic departments are sort of going, through that, with that question and thinking like, okay, do we want to bring, because really and truly college athletics is really all about coaches. You bring in a top name coach, that itself is going to bring recruits.
Could y'all imagine if
last,
like the SEC was the SWAC?
Yeah.
Game changer.
I was gonna say one last thing. Also, I think there's also, like, I think Shaw, you were hitting on it earlier about the you said the cameras will follow and whatnot, and I mean some of them have to sacrifice because they might not get as much. The TV deals are different. It's not as much TV exposure, right? But I think they already see it. The high schools already see it on a smaller scale, because I'll say this, like, we see them all the time on Instagram. You see, like, there's like training videos, right? You see these workout tapes and whatnot they're doing. So the same one you might see with Imani working out with a trainer, or you'll see Dior or whatever, or Mikey working out with a trainer. There's a HBCU kid that has working out with that trainer just as much as him. And probably right after Mikey finish his workout, there's going to be at HBCU either a current player or a kid that's committed to one that's going to work out with that same trainer, right? So, but you're not going to see the trainer post that. You're only going to see the trainer post Mikey Williams. You're only going to see the trainer post Dior or whatever, right? Just for the likes and the views, whatever. But like, and I'm giving you just a small example, like that already they see it on a scale in their own basketball community. Like, this is how HBCU kids are treated. You feel me? So like they already can see that the trainers are wanting, they're already getting like slighted in a lot of different ways. So when it does come to like, okay, this is a sacrifice. At the end of the day, like you said, Shaw, it is a sacrifice for them. If they're willing to take it, yes. They already can understand like what comes with it, but also like even like they're still playing against 4-year guys. See what I'm saying? Like if you go to HBCU, it's not like the competition. I think people get it like they misconstrue. Like, bro, it's still a lot of those guys that go to HBCU stay 4 years, right? I mean, they're good, they're skilled, they're talented, work on their craft. They have 4 years to work on their craft.
Like people just talented in general.
Say it again.
Like people just talented in general.
Talented in general, my brother.
Good like that.
So it's not like Mikey not just gonna walk in. Yeah, he's gonna do his thing, but he's not just gonna walk in and just drop 30 every game. Like, nah, he's still gonna have to earn his. So I think that's also like the reputation along with it is something that has to change. But yeah,
a lot of these guys are probably more fundamentally sound than what they would see at the SEC level. I mean, I watch some of these SEC games sometimes, man. It drives me crazy. I'm just like, you got all these big athletic guys that just do not know how to play basketball. And I'm just like, why are you talented? Like, why are you given this gift of athletic ability and you don't know how to use it? My last point on this is, you guys mentioned is, college sports are all about coaching. And, I've seen people kind of, telling kids that, hey, you guys need to start considering these schools. But, I think a lot of this is on the schools to get out and recruit these guys. Because I believe if they recruited them harder in the past, and I know that, a lot of people may think, oh, well, they don't really have a chance at a lot of these guys just because of their facilities, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what if you start developing relationships with these guys at a younger age? Just the same way the big schools recruit people. Sometimes, like, you have snagged a couple because of the relationships and because of the what you're selling. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the facilities and how much you won and all this stuff. So I challenge the HBCUs to get out and recruit these guys harder and find ways to be innovative in how they attack them. And, all these alumni that, back these programs, give to the athletic department. Like, don't just say, I went here and went off and made millions. Okay. Put your money where your mouth is when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Like, it's a total package. And, when you start getting these kids, the program will begin to fund itself after that. So, but it needs help. It needs somebody to jumpstart it. And this is where I challenge the HBCUs to make it a priority And I challenge the alumni to make it a priority if you want this to truly happen.
So somebody I saw a message the other day. Yeah. So to what Jeremy was saying, and I didn't see like what high school it was, but it was like, it definitely was in the South, but I like very quickly saw it on Twitter, but it was a high school coach that was like saying, he was calling out saying that I haven't seen HBCUs come and try to recruit my kids. I think he might have called out a specific HBCU or maybe a couple in the state. And he said, I haven't seen you guys try and come recruit my kids in the last 2-3 seasons. You know, like straight up called them out, said that you're not doing the work as well. So to what Jeremy was saying, yeah, it is their job to get out there and to actually like enter and get these kids, especially earlier, and get in their ears and develop a relationship, because it's not all on the kids as well. So to that point, yeah, there are, I'm sure, plenty examples of HBCUs that are slacking when it comes to recruiting and actually getting that network out there. You got to get out there early with them, because it's a Duke, or I mean, not even Duke for football, Alabama or Clemson or LSU can swoop in at any time, you know, like, and just take it. We saw that with the quarterback from who was going to Georgia, but ended up switching to Clemson, Bubba.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so they can do whatever they want at any point in time, but you have to get out early, because, you know, they have much more of a leverage than you. So, yeah, HBCUs have to get out there and start recruiting better.
And it's not you don't have the excuse of money when it's in state, because it's like,
yeah,
Joker, it's $20 gas. It's $20 gas.
Exactly.
Take that out your own pocket. So
yeah. That's all I wanted to say. All right.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. For sure. That's, that is definitely an interesting conversation. Of course, we'll see how that for sure plays out. But something else that, that broke this week was the continued discussion about the NBA's possible return at the Disney World Sports Complex in Florida. And when it was put out there that the NBA was going to return in Florida, I think a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, the NBA is coming back, even if it's only like, 22 or some odd teams. And it looked like that things were certainly progressing in that direction. But then Kyrie Irving said something that was pretty interesting, basically saying that, should we really be, doing this? Like, is this really the right time? And I'm just paraphrasing, obviously, but should we really be doing this? Like, in addition to, with so much attention being put on, on police brutality and Black Lives Matter, do we really want to create a distraction? Because let's be honest, like, when the NBA does start up again, whether it's July or whether it's whatever, a lot of attention, I feel like there's going to be so much attention put to the fact that the return, put to the fact that the NBA is going to be coming back, that some of that attention is going to be taken off a lot of these other issues that right now are going on in the country, and particularly going on in the Black community. I see where Kyrie is coming from, because let's be honest, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, because the thing that, that is, I think a lot of people are really thinking about, and I was talking about this, not too long ago with somebody, people was, especially with everybody dealing with, this pandemic and everything, I feel like one of the things that has been so much of a constant that, we've been hearing from so many people is, oh, we just want to return to normalcy. We just want something to kind of, just take our mind off things. That's why so many people are putting, so much attention on, the MLB, negotiation with the players union, because it seemed like that they're at so much, there's so much, going on with that. They can't even agree on, they wouldn't be able to agree on what to have for dinner or what to wear on, on a given morning. But I see where Kyrie is coming from, because once the NBA starts, so much attention is going to be put on, what how the Lakers are doing, or how the Clippers are doing, or how the Bucks are doing, or how Houston is doing it, or whatever, insert, name of NBA team that gets invited to Florida. And so much attention is going to be put on that, to the point where it's kind of one of these things that takes away, from these issues that's going on. I think that what what the NBA could do. And this is something that I think that they could possibly borrow an idea potentially from the WNBA, what they're sort of talking about. Because one of the things that I saw on Twitter was, there was a couple of WNBA, prospective WNBA design courts. And one of them said at each end, say her name, hashtag say her name. And then the other one said at each end of the floor, Black Lives Matter. I feel like that if they could, maybe if the NBA wanted to do perhaps something like that, and maybe this is something that could possibly, get done. But I see where Kyrie is coming from, to the point where if when the NBA comes back, I feel like it's one of those things where there's so much, going on right now, that I do feel like, NBA players do have this platform where they can constantly, remind all of us really that, hey, look, yeah, basketball may be coming back. Yes, sports may be slowly but surely coming back. But at the same time, make sure that just because all this is happening, let's not, lose sight of what's really going on here and what's really important. Because in the end, basketball is great and everything, but we got so many issues. We got so many issues that are going on right now that are just it's bigger than basketball right now. It's really bigger than sports, because it's about all of us.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy that it's Kyrie of all NBA players. I'm happy that it was him, because Kyrie Irving, for some reason, gets under people's skin. And at a time like this, that's the person I want to hear from. Obviously, you can make the argument that I'm sure people want to have been LeBron. I don't think it would have even hit if it was like a Chris Paul or Carmelo, or, you can go listing on of just like the star, the leaders, or the faces of the NBA. Even if Donovan Mitchell, you can go James Harden, you can keep going. I think it just hits harder because it's Kyrie, because there's already this history of him saying what other people, opposing other people's opinions, because he's not afraid to do it. Yeah, sometimes I agree that Kyrie, maybe sometimes his delivery isn't always clear, so maybe you have to kind of work and try to understand what he's trying to get through and what he's trying to say. But something like this, it's clear as day. He ain't wrong by anything here. He's not.
That's Thanksgiving.
Say again. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, see. As I say, he's never afraid. He just, so I'm happy it was him. I think that Shaw said it in the group chat, which was real. It was just like he's everybody's just like killing for something that other players were saying. I totally agree with you on that, Shaw, because it's like he just was the one who had to say it. Otherwise, it didn't hit as much if it was Donovan Mitchell, but it hits as much as Kyrie. So he has a valid reason. Also, Lou Will said the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, y'all want us to hurry back and start playing for another distraction. Those are the things that it's real. Dwight Howard, shout out to him, same thing. You know what I mean? I don't want a championship. I'd rather have a championship if I can win this. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Shaw. Go ahead, flex it. I knew what I said I should have never said Dwight. Anyway, shout out to the boy Dwight. But shout out to him for that too, because Dwight also stood up. So, I think also the way it was reported was pretty foul in a lot of ways. We all talked about it as well. There was a lot of people who told on themselves, which we already knew about them beforehand. But
what did he say? The disruptor.
The disruptor. That's all
I've never. ESPN. And Woj is the most down the middle robot in the world. So for him to say that, I'm like, why?
The only other person Woj goes at is like the Knicks. Like if you go through the history, he'll take shot. He loves taking shots at the Knicks or whatever like that. Like their whole management organization. So he does that. But like you said,
my book.
But like you said, now with Kyrie, it's like, all right, you go from that to So we saw the way it was covered. We all kind of like had to take it in, digest it, and was seeing like, all right, shout out to I do want to do shout out to Chris Haynes, shout out to Taylor Rooks, because they both like kept it very professional and like honest about
Sarit Sohi.
Go ahead. Yeah. They showed that it was a conversation. Like he just brought up something that we should be. This is a real concern, real life concern. Taylor even tweeted out about it that don't hear like people trying to bring up him being a flat Earth believer and all that, and like don't try to use recognize the people who are trying to like downplay him for some of his comments in the past or for something like this. Like watch out for them, which is I totally agree with her about. So how it was covered had a lot to do with it as well, because it really got underneath a lot of people's skin, because everybody was like, I want my basketball back. Who is he to say? And he's not the deciding factor. Like I don't know what people's issue is. He just brought up what is as a real thing, bro. We just saw our home city, but the A, like we just saw it like 2 days ago, bro. Like what he told you just matched it. You didn't have to, even though it shouldn't have to happen, something else shouldn't have to happen for you to understand. It literally just repeated itself again. So we have the attention right now. There's no distraction. Everybody's out marching and protesting. We have tons of people, because at the end of the day, this is something that's important. It's something that could shift the country, but it's also something that we have a lot of people out of work. It's like right now, like a lot of people have nothing else to do but look at themselves in the mirror and understand that this is something they need to be a part of. So that's never been any time in American history like that before, as it is right now when you have this kind of attention. So, bro, if this season is a wash, it's a wash. None of us care about it. We love our basketball. I love it. It's my favorite sport. Like, love it to death. But, bro, like, this is something that could really make a change. That it's not bringing basketball back. I heard Austin Rivers, what he said, and I was just like, I couldn't understand. Like, I get it from a financial spot for some of these players. It's like, yeah, it matters, but it's hard for me to see past this, bro, because all I care about is my people. So I can't, that's number one to me. And whatever's number two is like a distant number two. You know what I mean? So I can't, my priorities is that, and it's not going to shift for nothing. So with that being said, yeah, I salute Kyrie for doing it. I salute him for also giving other players that confidence, or not even confidence, but making them feel like you're not alone, and feeling like some kind of trepidation and going into this and concern. LeBron, Austin Rivers, or Giannis, whatever, those guys, if they feel cool with doing it, no slight to them, but I want to give Kyrie his just dues. I don't want to worry about the players who want to continue on, but I want to give Kyrie his props on that, because he is VP, so he has that platform, he has that power, but he also chose at this time to stand for something. This is like for him something I'll never forget as far as history goes, that I was proud of him for doing something like that. So yeah.
And a lot of kind of like the people against it, the ops, they're saying like, well, this is your job, you get paid millions to do it. Like, if we got to go back to work, you got to go back to work, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but when we go to work, it doesn't like take the attention of the nation. It's not like breaking news. Rashad Milligan went back to work. John Doe went back to going back to the office, being, the 9 to 5, shout out B. Simone. But, like that isn't breaking news. Like, that doesn't stop the presses. Like, this is a different job to where it stops the presses, and everybody's attention in the world is on you when you return to work. So that's all I had to say. You go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I appreciate what all of you are saying. And I agree with all of what Kyrie said, and I appreciate what I like Kyrie as a player, but recently I haven't liked him. Some of the ways he's been portrayed in media, or just his attitude in the playoffs last year. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. So that has nothing to do with what he said, and I appreciate Kyrie, because he's that friend that we all need. If you think about it, people are afraid to have people like this in their circle, which is a problem. It's probably why people aren't successful. Having Kyrie in the room allowed him to bring up something that nobody was thinking about. Like, I think a lot of the superstars needed to hear this, and I'm glad it was, like you guys said, I'm glad it was Kyrie, because, he's the one thinking outside the box when people aren't. So, yeah, I think it needed to be said, and it needed to be thought about. I'm not saying that this is going to be the reality of what happens. I mean, I think they will eventually play, and I think they will eventually take up the space. But having him bring that and make that people aware of that will make people less likely to just throw away what's going on right now when the NBA does come back. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say on it. Like, it's like I do think that there are ways for the NBA not to be a distraction. I do think that this is an opportunity, if anything, for them to put themselves in the spotlight more prominently and protest in that way. Because a lot of these guys aren't at marches now. Like LeBron isn't in marches right now. Kawhi Leonard isn't out marching right now. So they're not doing anything publicly right now anyway that we can see on TV every day. So if they were to do something every day, like use those platforms to do their protests in their way, then the attention doesn't necessarily go away and become only about basketball. So,
but do you think? Question for you, Jeremy. Do you think Borp Twitter will care that Kawhi wrote "R.I.P. George Floyd" on the sneakers? Do you think Borp Twitter is gonna care they were "I Can't Breathe" shirts and warm ups? Do you even if going back to what Keem said with the WNBA, if they put hashtag Black Lives Matter on the court and made and then and then the center, the little half court, whatever, is a logo of a fist, of a black fist. Do you think Borp Twitter is really going to care about that?
I mean, that Twitter that you're talking about doesn't care anyway. Those are the same people who are mad because Wendy's burned down. So you can't make those people care. You can't cater your whole message to them because they're not listening anyway. Eventually they will come to their own. Eventually they'll have to face their own demons and come to it in their understanding, their own way. So we're just trying to talk to the people who want to listen. So, I mean, look at what Bubba Wallace did in NASCAR last week, the Black Lives Matter paint scheme. A lot of people cared, and a lot of people took notice. A lot of people saw that, and a lot of people have started to change their thinking because of it, because it's a predominantly white sport. That was something we hadn't seen in that sport. So something similar could work to the NBA, especially because it's a mostly black industry. So seeing white players doing it, seeing Luka Doncic in a Black Lives Matter shirt would be amazing. Seeing a coach wear a suit with a fist on it or an all black suit, stuff like that could be game changing in the sports world. Because I mean, like I said, we've seen Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is the perfect guinea pig experiment for how sports can positively do this and change the way and talk to who they need to talk to. Because like I said, some people are just stuck in their ways and that they're not listening anyway. It doesn't matter what you do. You could literally go out and lay on the court for the whole game and say, I'm not playing, and televise that, and they would have a problem with that. So, or you could just play the games and they would just have a problem with who's playing the game. So it's like, I don't know. Like, you can't really control how people feel about it. All you can do is continue to get the message out there until people start to understand and want to listen to it. So, I mean, that's why I appreciate what Kyrie says, because now he has people thinking about this, and maybe the creative minds that are the NBA players, there are the, coaches, like now they can take this message and say, okay, well, we're going back to play, but we're going to do it with a purpose so that when we do take attention away, people are here with eyes and their minds are still, like, we subtly present this to them almost as advertising, like, hey, don't forget this is still happening. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I think they also.
That's a great point that you made, Jeremy, about NASCAR, because NASCAR took an extraordinary step just this week. They announced they're banning the Confederate flag. I mean, I never thought, I saw a little bit on Twitter because, I'm a little bit plugged into NASCAR as well. I saw a little bit on Twitter. And of course I covered a race a couple of years ago in Charlotte, but I saw on Twitter that maybe they were possibly thinking about doing it, but I never thought that they would actually do it. I felt like that because of the fact that right now we don't have sports to distract us. I feel like it's one of those things where when things like this happen, it really underscores exactly this whole idea that we very well could start to see positive change, because for a sport like NASCAR to have, to have the guts to look itself in the mirror and say, you know what, we've kind of sort of developed this culture around us to the point where it would get the attention of, it would get the attention of a Bubba Wallace. And and plus, really and truly, NASCAR right now, with all the other sports either contemplating how they're going to return or not really all that close to even thinking about, a real return. Baseball. It's something that really, it really does bring greater attention. And the fact that that if NASCAR did it, it just makes you think, like, what other sport could very well follow. So yeah, I feel like that, that in a sense, is really an understatement in terms of just how much, attention and how much, positive change could very well come out of this. I just think it's interesting that, still thinking about the NASCAR thing, after they announced that they were getting rid of the Confederate flag, so much of Black Twitter was like, oh, we bringing the cookout to NASCAR. We head to Daytona. Like, we bringing the culture to NASCAR. Like Black Twitter's already thinking about taking over NASCAR now.
I'll say this for NASCAR. I don't completely champion them for doing this, because I've been a NASCAR fan my entire life, and there's been no opportunity or no even challenge to make this change happen. And it's not just Black people in NASCAR, it's women in NASCAR as well. The way women in NASCAR have been portrayed is ridiculous to me. It's like, they're just expected to be in the back of the field, and, it's gentlemen, start your engines. And Danica Patrick wasn't the first NASCAR driver that was a woman. Janet Guthrie, Shauna Robinson, she was like a few years before Danica Patrick, and she always got the crappy cars. It's like these women aren't given a fair shot to get into the good equipment. Danica Patrick was the first one to really do that. So that seeing that, it almost makes me feel like the pandemic has kind of boxed them in a corner. I think I might have brought this up in the group chat this week. It's like, being the only sport that's really going right now, people are looking at you and they're like, okay, well, this movement is going on. So where's your representation? Where's your opportunity to change? Where's your, you know what I mean? It's like Bubba being there, he was able to hold them responsible. That's why I think the NBA coming back and having this platform to now start, okay, well, let's hold the NBA accountable, because they're in this bubble. They're the only thing going, and it'll be like, it's like a company, like a lot of companies have had to come out and say something. Like if a company's quiet at this point, you're just like, oh, they didn't say anything during this, so I'm gonna stop buying the product. Okay, if the NBA doesn't do anything, being a almost mostly Black league, how would you guys feel about that? You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna force these guys to come back whether they want to or not. There'll be an NBA season because they've agreed on it, and it may not have LeBron. Like, if LeBron were just to say, I'm not going to do it, blah blah blah, and they would just find replacement players. So it would be up to then those replacement players to do this. Like, it's not. It's about accountability, holding these companies and these leagues accountable as the employee. And I don't get what I'm trying to say. I think you guys probably will get what I'm trying to say if some of you can clean it up. But I feel like NASCAR doesn't necessarily get all of this credit for doing this. I feel like this was more of a reaction rather than a proactive thing that they did. It would have been bad had the only Black driver said, we don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't feel comfortable having the Confederate flag at my races that I'm driving in, and I don't feel comfortable with this, and nobody that comes to see me should be uncomfortable. It would have been bad if NASCAR just turned around and said, well, no, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been awful. Like, that would have been the end of them. They would have been canceled forever. So
I remember this. I feel like I don't follow it like Jeremy. Y'all three follow it much closer than me, but as far as NASCAR goes, but like, bro, I feel like people have asked them to remove the flag for like years now, right? Okay, so yeah, you're right. So this is one of those moments again, like we see with a whole bunch of other corporations that are just trying to like seize the moment and try to capitalize on the moment, and try to make sure to paint themselves in a good light as if they contributed in whatever the case may be. But like you guys have been clamoring before all of this happened that they need to remove those flags, and people didn't want to. They were stubborn. So that being said, like you said, Jeremy, late to the party. And as far as inviting, if they're looking for this to invite more African Americans, like I remember, I can't get it out of my head, but I remember I was in Charlotte and went to the NASCAR museum. I don't know if it's the National Museum or whatever it was, but
The NASCAR Hall of Fame?
NASCAR Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Yes, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Went to it, and beautifully done. But I was like, I barely saw anybody. I didn't see about one that looked like me at all, bro. I was just like, yo, this is nuts. Like just going through it, starting from the beginning to the like 3 floors up or whatever, bro. Like
what you doing here, boy?
It was a feeling. Yeah, it was like, boy. I was like, yo, like, nah, this ain't for me. Like, let's get in, let's get out, bro.
You don't know what a NASCAR looks like, boy. You better keep it moving.
You know what I'm saying? I felt the pressure when I walked out. I was like, these folks looking at me like, yo, you better get in and get out. You know what I'm saying? How long you gonna be here? You know what I mean? Like that's like yo. So just the feel of that is like, nah, I can understand how listen, I want to give it a try, but like NASCAR's got a lot of cleanup. They got a lot of cleanup to do with their culture, bro. So this is a step, but boy, y'all gotta get right down there because I can't get with it.
And that's real, Eric, because
you know what I'm saying?
Just going to a race. I mean, I went to a race weekend in Charlotte. I want to say it was 2 years ago, and it was me and my wife. We were just going to the race like everyone else, but like I could just feel the eyes. I could feel you could feel it, and then not only do you feel that, then you look over and see the Confederate flag, and now you're uncomfortable. Like now it's like, okay, now I know what kind of environment I'm in. So So I kind of just was like, I don't want to focus on what's going on around me. I can't even enjoy the festivities like everyone else. Like you go to a football game and you go tailgate. You can go tailgate and go grab a hot dog with people and play music and y'all can all get together and party. At the NASCAR race, get out of your car, get on the little transport that takes you to your seats, sit down and watch only the race because whatever is going on around you makes you uncomfortable. And that's why I was so hesitant to go to a race for all these years, because it's like, I don't know if I was mentally mature enough to handle that. And my parents didn't want to go to it because they were in the same boat. Like it was worse even back when I was a younger kid. So I don't know. Like I never felt unsafe, but it was like there were times where people said little snide comments to me or to my wife, or like it was like yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real feeling. So.
And what's also so interesting is you made a great point about these companies that are trying to be woke nowadays. And one of those companies that's trying it is MSG, who of course owns the Rangers and the Knicks. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, they put out a statement trying to say that, it's not appropriate for us to comment on this. Then we see something on both the Rangers Twitter and the Knicks Twitter, the same thing, but basically like, we're basically saying that we're aware of this all of a sudden. Like, how did it take like 2 weeks for you to all of a sudden like open your eyes? Like some of this that's going on with some of these companies is, some of it is just pure PR, and you can tell that it's pure PR because they're putting it out there like that, and they're pretty much, letting everybody know that it is. But
That's my last thing.
It's safe now.
The Knicks are so stupid. The Knicks are so stupid. They had the answer key and still failed the test. Those dudes had 2 weeks. Everybody wrote out everything, bro. Like all you had to do, you could have just copied a few from here and pasted that thing. Y'all still failed the test. Like I understand, like they Trump's, it's been found obviously Dolan and they've contributed to the vote. Yeah, Trumps
Right.
and all that. Yeah, that is what it is. But my God, y'all had like so much time to get it right, and you still failed. Just classic Knicks.
Home again.
Like,
And also, if I could get everybody's quick answers on this, how do y'all feel about Baker Mayfield saying he's going to kneel and J.J. Watt defending the protests?
Wait, J.J. Watt and who, Baker?
J.J. Watt is defending the protest, and Baker Mayfield's going to kneel next season.
J.J. Watt is?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I do not care at all. You're late. You're too late. You're 4 years too late.
Mayfield wasn't in the league when Cap did.
I don't care. He was a
But
prominent
JJ though.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Too late.
JJ.
I'm more shocked with JJ because he's like that's the boy he always be carrying the American flag when
he
he come
ran
out, right?
with the flag in the middle of those like.
He think he Captain America, right? Yeah, like him.
I think JJ literally just said that because of Drew Brees.
Yeah,
it's safe now. It's easy to say this.
That's what I'm saying. It's just safe.
More popular to be a part of the movement than to be against it at this point.
Yeah,
I don't care what you have to say. I don't care that you want to join. Great that you're standing with this protest and being a part of this, but you're too late.
Baker had to do something, man.
Your ignorance and your willingness to fight against the movement has been damaging enough in the past. Too bad. You're too late. I don't care.
Baker ain't got no choice
because
Baker ain't got no choice because everybody already hate him enough, so he might as well just, you know what I mean?
He ran away from the police. He hit them folks, did the Dougie.
Yeah.
He had I'm like, Joker, if you don't do nothing, and then you're not even good. So you're not about to start, not be good, hit them folks, and run away from the police and not say nothing about this.
Yeah.
You can't be all of that.
Right. It sounds like it's one of those things where they're just trying to be like, too late to the movement. But one person that we know in late, ATL's very own Lil Baby. And, and exactly and it's amazing that, he basically put out a new track, pretty much as an anthem for the movement. And it's amazing he put out this track as this anthem for the movement, essentially, as we saw we've been watching the news, what's been happening in Atlanta as of late, and with the, with the issue with the Wendy's. And so I was listening to a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is, but I'm really vibing with this. This is dope right here that he's doing and, just, putting it out there. And because sometimes I feel like, we have, people have this perception of rappers, especially Atlanta rappers, like, oh, they just about their money, they just about their clothes, they just about their women and things like that. But he's really out here in these streets, he's really out here.
Shout out, Baby.
Shout out, Lil Baby, for sure. Absolutely, Lil. That was dope. He did.
He did. And they had a video for it. They put out yesterday. That was pretty dope. He did a video. He used protest footage, while he was protesting, all the footage from his protest walk, and then it turned into a video afterwards. That was pretty dope. I haven't even been y'all. Shad and Jeremy have said it, I'm still growing as becoming a Baby fan. I don't know why it's taking me long, but I'm starting to become a Baby fan.
I'm not really he cool, but it's I can't listen to his voice for 20
Yeah,
minutes.
that's me. That's me. It's the voice. Yeah.
I can't. Oh, trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he good.
Like Travis Porter. Travis Porter.
Yeah, he good if you can just catch him in passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can throw a song on because you're working out once, and that's cool. I can't listen to his whole album though.
I hear that. But these kids, but the next generation love him.
Wendy's burning on one side of the city, and then half the city twerking. And did you see the Travis Porter parking lot concert? There was literally a pit for people to walk down to, and there was the pit was full of people, and I was like, "Isn't that the
that was yesterday?"
Point of this? Not at the parking lot. Travis Porter had a parking lot concert last night.
No, this was at Murphy Park.
Yeah.
My boy was there. I saw people. I saw what you said. Yeah.
They had a pit in the front, and people were leaving their cars going into the pit. The pit was full of people. I'm like, doesn't that diminish the entire point of this concert? And then on Edgewood Avenue last night, people
don't even get me started
at the time, and I'm like,
bro,
well, that's Edgewood.
Yeah, I know. I didn't expect nothing from Edgewood.
A kid died from protests, man. From COVID.
Yeah.
Because my mom's friends were one of the doctors in Atlanta, and he was like, at his hospital, they had 2 kids from the protest come in with COVID. One survived, and the other died.
Wow.
Kids, bro. 20-year-olds, teenagers. So it's
Yeah, no, I
like,
saw that Edgewood thing. That thing made me sick.
yeah,
That Edgewood video, I was like, y'all are crazy, bro. Like,
yeah.
it ain't nomad. I mean, it just whatever. Atlanta just going about it different, bro. I have no words for it anymore. I'm just like, all right, now y'all gonna say like,
Lil Baby called it out in the song. He said, "COVID and what happened to COVID? I'm just saying, I'm venting." I'm like, bro, like you're not gonna see it until a couple of weeks later. Like when you see these numbers spike up and you see your homeboys and everything fall in love,
the lung damage.
one of
The
him.
lung damage.
He lost some baby moms to this, bro. Like this stuff is serious, bro. His baby moms ain't no 80.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Exactly.
But yeah,
I'm trapped in the house.
That's all I had. That's all I had. That's my time.
That's your time.
Pretty much.
Oh no, I thought it was a
back
cool
to comic view. It's a cool song. Yeah, it's a dope song. I like it.
Cool video. I mean, there's not much to say there. I'm glad Lil Baby's. I'm glad he used his platform. I mean, I wouldn't have expected it from him, to be honest.
Same.
But
Same.
The lyrics. I've always thought that he was gonna be a good rapper, but moving on to Dave Chappelle. You said Dave Chappelle, right?
We don't have time to talk about Dave Chappelle. I was just saying shout out Dave Chappelle.
Oh,
next week. But this hits more, closing on Lil Baby, this hits more than guy like Kendrick, Cole, Gambino. You know what I'm saying? People who know all the lyrical, deep, chants. You know what I'm saying? Like this hits more that it's Lil Baby for the kids.
Right.
It does.
That's it.
Does.
Because he's like the hottest rapper around, or one of the hottest rappers around.
If Drake would have did it, it wouldn't have felt genuine. I'm gonna throw that out there right now.
No,
nobody trying to hear that. Yeah,
exactly. Because we all know E how you feel about Drake, but
listen,
yeah,
man, it's well documented.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have hit the same way. Like I feel it just wouldn't have hit the same way because Drake's too corporate nowadays. He's like the new Jay-Z.
That's not his lane right now. He Drake, just donate, shut the hell up. You know what I mean?
We're past kneeling. We're past kneeling, Jay-Z. We're past
Jay-Z, yes. Yeah. We're cool on that. All right.
Just about pretty much. But yeah, you wanna get on up out of here real quick before we
do it.
All right, another episode in the books. Let's get on up out of here.
Who's starting it off? Rashad go.
RashadMilling.com. You can follow me on Twitter at MyerMoreStan.
Hey.
Jeremy Johnson, Clark_Kent. Oh man, that ain't it. Clark_Kent_75. Superman. You.
Hey. At Eric, your boy, you know what it is. I'm just out here. Shout out to Wendy's, man. Like y'all. I keep thinking about Wendy's, bro. That's all I keep thinking about, man. Them chicken nuggets, bro. But nah, like. Shout out to Wendy's, man. Y'all got insurance? All right, that's it.
I can name places they probably got better insurance, better nuggets than Wendy's, by the way. Akeem Balaam, Twitter, Gram, AKIEM, BAILUM, Twitter, Gram, Beyond the W, Prep Girls Hoops. Check it out. We out of here. Till next week.
Peace.
See ya.
Y'all must thought that I was gonna whisper the whole time. Mistress, diamonds they wear like go fishing. Y'all don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Rarries. I don't want